Welcome back to Finger Lakes today. We are still joined by Felicia and Jim to talk about Jim's experience at Rose Tavern at the Lake House in Canandaigua. Jim, you had the pleasure of going there over the weekend?
Yeah, I've
right?
been there a few times before. Been to the Sandbar, which is one of the
Great
places
spot.
there. And honestly, the Lake House is a really cool place. It's a kind of an upscale resort right on the north end. We had some friends in from the Hotel Canandaigua, which is opening up. It looks like it's going to be similar spot. But Lake House has been there for a few years, and just a lot of different options. There's like a bar called the Library. There's the Sandbar, which is a restaurant bar. There's a Rose Tavern. There's like we were there. It's obviously January, but out back the pool was still open, and the hot tub and like the heated pool has all the steam coming off it. You'll actually see a shot of it in this review, but I'll show you the review and then we'll talk about it. Saturday night, headed to Canandaigua for dinner at Rose Tavern inside the Lake House on Canandaigua. And what an amazing property of the Lake House. Even in late January, they had fire pits going out back overlooking the lake. Their heated pool and jacuzzi had steam rising up into the cool air, and then inside plenty of different spaces to hang out, like the library where we stopped for a drink before dinner out the main hotel lobby, and then headed down the hall to the Rose Tavern. And the whole property was just bustling with activity, pretty crowded for a late January Saturday night. Rose Tavern was packed, but it's huge, plenty of room for seating. The menu features some great appetizers and the post-oak ember-fired hearth options, which were interesting. Wines by the glass or bottle, great cocktails, and draft beer. Something for everyone on the menu. We started with this charcuterie board, which went great with my glass of red wine. This wedge salad had an incredibly creamy blue cheese dressing. It was outstanding. And then the star of the show, the squash bisque, probably the best I ever had. They make it with lobster stock. It was unbelievable. One of the entrees, pan-seared swordfish, perfectly cooked over vegetables. These Brussels sprouts are made with a caramel sauce, which was unique. They were great. And then I stepped outside the box and got the shoyu glazed hamachi collar, which is actually from a yellowfin tuna up by the neck. You had to pull the meat off the bone, but it was great. Something different. And then after dinner drinks, espresso martinis, and for dessert, this apple cinnamon bread pudding with Pittsburgh dairy ice cream. It's kind of like a French toast more than a pudding, but man, it was really, really good. And what a night at the Lake House. What a place. It's a little pricey, but you pay for the ambiance. Everything was excellent. Overall, I give it a 9 out of 10 and look forward to coming back. Yes, it was great. It was a nice night out. Lake House, Canandaigua. So there's so many great places around here to eat, and that's just another one that I would like to return to. The whole night was a lot of fun. Walking around the facility from the bar to the restaurant. Then we went back to the library after and sat in front of the fire for about an hour before we finally left. We met some of my friends from a couple of my friends from Rochester. Came down, and it was kind of like in the middle between Seneca Falls and Rochester. So it was a good night, but and I don't know if you felt this way, it is a little more expensive than your average restaurant that serves that quality food. The food was great. I think there's a lot of places that serve food that's just as great, but maybe not quite as expensive. But you pay for the extra, the ambiance.
Yeah. So I went for brunch actually on a Sunday. And my girlfriend that I went with is pregnant. So we both got eggs Benedict, which was great. It came with like a side salad that was delicious. It's definitely like a higher end eggs Benedict. You know, it's not like that diner eggs Benedict that you're used to. But we got that. She got a coffee and I got one espresso martini, and it was like $55 without tip.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what our total
for a
was.
brunch, usually I'm used to a higher brunch bill because of, if people are drinking. But with one drink and just those two meals, it was about $55.
Did you like the espresso martini?
Yes, I did. It was good.
But nothing that stands out that you're going to remember?
No, I didn't have two.
Yeah.
Which normally I probably would. But yeah, the ambiance is different. It's amazing. Like, it was my first time, well, second time technically, because I did go to the Sandbar in November, but it was amazing to see the transformation of both of the places, the hotel in general. I believe that they have a spa there now.
Yep.
that I've heard great things about. So it was really cool to see. It's a great atmosphere, and it's like a little resort with all of the different things that, they have. And I feel like I would love to go back in the summer to see, how the sandbar is, all of those fire pits, and, being outside by the water.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful down there.
Yeah,
in the summer.
it's so pretty there.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how everything was up and running, even though it was the end of January. So the fire pits were all lit. The outside pool was open, and it was just really full of people. And it was interesting too, because I saw a few people I knew there, and I also saw people that I knew were from out of town. So it was just a really pleasant place to be. And like I said, just a little more on the expensive end, but I think that you have to pay for those extras, and that's how they do it, in the form of just slightly more expensive prices. But from the stuff I ate, I don't know if you noticed that Shimoyu Hamachi collar.
Yeah.
Shoyu glazed
What
Hamachi
is that?
collar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes when I go to a restaurant, I was kind of like, I'm going to get a steak. And one of the options was like a 30-ounce, $100 cowboy cut steak. And I'm like, I don't want to eat that much steak. And then the other option was like a Kool-Aid 10-ounce. And I'm like, so I really was kind of stumped on what I was going to get. And I saw this shoyu glazed hamachi collar. So I said to the waiter, I said, I'll have the shoyu glazed hamachi collar. And he's like, oh, great. And then I said, I'm like, what exactly is that? And he said, it's the bone of a yellowfin tuna around the head. So like the collar, and it's supposedly the best meat of the fish. And it was great, but it came, you saw it on the screen. It just, you had to take the meat off the bone, the fish meat off the bone to eat it. And it was kind of hard, but it was really, really, really good. Not quite filling. And the thing is, I said to our waiter, I'm like, how many people order this like on an average night? He goes, oh, it's very popular. It's almost as popular as the salmon. And I didn't like push him on it, but after he walked away, I said, I've seen lots of salmon. I've seen lots of swordfish. This is walking through the restaurant. This is the only shoyu glazed hamachi collar that I saw come out of that kitchen tonight. And I probably wouldn't get it again, but I'm glad I did, just because it was something different. Yeah. And you know what? I didn't leave like feeling like I was going to throw up like I usually do at a restaurant. I had enough to chow down that bread pudding.
Oh, that bread pudding.
Bread pudding
with Pittsford Farm Dairy ice cream.
Oh,
yeah. That was one of the best things I had. But I am glad I got the hamachi collar, because it was really, really good. It was something different. How often do you get?
You can
really
say
get
you've had it
just
now.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's like crab.
Yeah, my hands were all greasy from trying to get the meat, and I wasn't even sure exactly how to do it. It's almost like I don't know, like when you eat crab legs and stuff and you find that really nice big piece of crab meat and you get excited, you had to work for it. That's kind of how this was. As I worked through it, I'd find a really nice big piece of meat, and I was like, oh, sweet, jackpot, but it was interesting because I'd never seen anything like that before. The swordfish that you saw in there was perfect. Like, all the food was really perfectly cooked, and I have no complaints. The quality was great. It was the wait staff was great. The cocktails were great. They had wine from 680 Cellars, which I was happy to see, and they also had higher end wines that you could get by the bottle that a lot of places don't have. I'd go back for sure. I would just want to save my money first for a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nate, what's your